Power is not given, it is taken. Look around. The people at the top, they didn't get there by playing fair. They got there by playing smart. CEOs, presidents, dictators, founders. They know something most people don't, that in the real world, morality is optional, but strategy is everything. This isn't a feel-good story about kindness or karma. This is about how power actually works, according to the most dangerous political mind in history, Niccolo Machiavelli. He believed that if you want to win, to rule, to dominate, to lead, you can't just be good. You have to be feared, respected, and impossible to ignore. In this video, I'll show you how to think like a ruler, how to build unshakable influence, neutralize threats before they strike, and control how people see you, all without ever getting your hands dirty. Because in a world obsessed with image, the one who masters illusion rules reality. This is how to become a Machiavellian prince. Niccolo Machiavelli was no villain. He wasn't a monster. He was a realist. Born in 15th century Florence, a city torn by betrayal and war, Machiavelli saw politics not as it should be, but as it is. He served as a diplomat, watched empires fall, kings lie, and allies turn to enemies overnight. And in exile, he wrote the most brutally honest guide to leadership the world has ever seen, ThePrince. It wasn't a guide for saints. It was a handbook for survival. In it, he revealed what other thinkers were too afraid to say, that morality and power rarely walk hand in hand, and that a ruler who clings too tightly to idealism may not rule for long. Machiavelli didn't invent manipulation, he just exposed it, and in doing so, he handed us the keys to understanding how power really functions, not in theory, but in reality. Let's be clear, no one is going to hand you power. You either take it or watch someone else do it first. According to Machiavelli, the moment of crisis is your opportunity. When systems collapse, when leaders falter, when people are confused and scared, that's when a prince rises, not by chance, but by design. The key is action. Fortune, he says, favors the bold. And boldness, in the world of Machiavelli, means strategic aggression. If the existing order is weak, challenge it. If your rivals hesitate, move fast. And if you strike, do it decisively. Take the story of Agathocles of Syracuse, a man born the son of a potter who clawed his way into power. He joined the army, gained trust, and when the time was right, he called a meeting of the city's elite, and had them all slaughtered in one night. Ruthless? Absolutely. But it removed every threat to his rule in a single move. And from that chaos, order emerged. That's not senseless violence. That's calculated dominance. In Machiavelli's world, delayed decisions breed rebellion. Half measures invite disaster. But here's what separates the tyrant from the prince. A Machiavellian leader acts only when the outcome strengthens the state. No wasted cruelty. No chaos for chaos's sake. Seizing power isn't about being evil. It's about seeing clearly, acting swiftly, and accepting that in moments of chaos, hesitation is death. The prince does not wait for permission. He creates the future, or gets erased by it. Machiavelli famously said, "It is not necessary for a prince to have all the good qualities, but it is necessary to appear to have them." The lesson? Reputation is power. In the world of politics, business, or influence, people rarely judge the truth. They judge the surface. So if you want to hold power, master perception. Be seen as honest, generous, and just, even if, behind the curtain, your decisions are pragmatic, calculated, and unsentimental. Pause for a second. If you're thinking this is deception, you're right. But ask yourself, would you rather be a good person with no influence, or a good actor with the power to change the world? In Machiavelli's universe, power isn't taken by the honest. It's maintained by the believable. Appearances don't just protect you, they project invincibility. Why? Because being feared may keep you safe. But being loved earns you loyalty, or at least the illusion of it. And that illusion buys you time. Time to maneuver, time to strike, time to build something enduring. The Machiavellian prince isn't heartless. He's disciplined. He knows when to smile, when to flatter, and when to vanish from the spotlight. He understands that authenticity is often weaponized against the powerful, so he crafts a version of himself that disarms criticism. The masses follow symbols, give them one, but never mistake the symbol for the strategy. Appearances are armor. Wear them well. One of Machiavelli's most quoted lines is this: "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But too many stop reading there. What he actually taught was balance, that fear is effective only when it's controlled. A ruler who is feared can maintain order. A ruler who is hated invites conspiracy. Fear is a tool. It creates respect, caution, and distance. It reminds others that your power is not to be challenged lightly, but it must never spill into cruelty for its own sake. If you strike, it must be quick, justified, and final. Never toy with people's dignity. Humiliation breeds hatred, and hatred does not sleep. Think of it like this: a respected enemy is safer than a humiliated one. The prince doesn't rule with a whip. He rules with presence, a calm confidence, a silent message that says, "I am watching, I am capable, I am not to be trifled with." Use fear to set boundaries, to uphold discipline, to neutralize rebellion, but never to indulge your ego. The Machiavellian prince chooses control over chaos, strength over savagery, because power built on hatred is fragile. But power built on respect, even if laced with fear, can endure. Power attracts enemies. The moment you rise, someone will plot your fall. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He believed that uncertainty breeds conspiracy, and that the prince must act before threats take root. Step 1. Identify the threat. This could be a disloyal advisor, a popular rival, or even a close ally whose ambition outweighs their loyalty. Step 2. Do not wait. Delay gives your enemies time to build alliances, gather support, and weaken your influence. Consider the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. After seizing control of France, He knew that holding power was harder than taking it. Among his greatest dangers were not foreign powers, but internal threats, disloyal generals, royalist plotters, and ambitious ministers who viewed him as a temporary actor in a chaotic era. Rather than wait for betrayal, Napoleon acted swiftly. He centralized authority, reshuffled military leadership, and silenced conspirators before they could organize. When General Pichegru and others plotted his downfall, Napoleon had them arrested and exiled, and in some cases mysteriously eliminated. These were preemptive strikes, cold, calculated, and effective. From a Machiavellian perspective, this was not cruelty, it was clarity. The principle is simple. Uncertainty invites rebellion. Boldness prevents it. Whether in politics, business, or leadership, you will face rivals. Some will wear smiles. Some will play the long game. You must play longer and smarter. Act with precision, not paranoia. Clarity. Remove the threat cleanly, publicly if needed, to set an example. Quietly, if it protects your image. And remember, never wound a rival you can't kill politically. The Machiavellian prince doesn't wait to be betrayed. He strikes first and makes sure no one dares follow. Still think power is about brute force? Think again. Information is the new weapon. In a world drowning in noise, the one who controls the signal controls the truth. You're not just playing chess anymore. You're writing the rule book everyone else is blindly following. In Machiavelli's world, power isn't just force. It's narrative. Who controls the story, controls the people. A prince must master the flow of information. This means knowing what to reveal, what to hide, and when to speak or stay silent. Rumors, propaganda, public displays, all are tools in the arsenal of power. Why? Because perception becomes reality. If people believe you're strong, they act accordingly. If they believe you're weak, the vultures start circling. Think of how today's leaders use media. Press releases, interviews, staged photo ops. Every word and gesture is calculated to build a brand. Machiavelli would have thrived in an age of 24/7 news cycles and curated social feeds. He warned rulers to avoid being despised or mocked. The antidote: control the image, command the message. If criticism arises, drown it in confidence. If rumors spread, replace them with louder truths or compelling fictions. Remember, the people don't need the full truth. They need a version of it that keeps the machine running. So be the architect of your myth. Build a reputation that precedes you, a mystique that protects you, and a voice that resonates louder than the doubters. Power without narrative is naked, but when cloaked in story, it becomes destiny. Strategically, Machiavelli didn't hate religion or law. He respected their power. To him, morality and faith were not obstacles. They were tools, ideals that rulers could use to unify people, justify actions, and solidify control. He wrote, "A wise prince should appear to be religious, even if he is not." Why? Because people crave moral certainty. They want to believe their leader shares their values. But the prince understands something deeper. It's not about what's true. It's about what's useful. If invoking divine authority stops rebellion, do it. If quoting justice helps pass your decree, quote it. Not to deceive maliciously, but to govern effectively. The masses don't follow raw power. They follow symbols, laws, beliefs. So give them what they need and use it to guide them. This isn't about hypocrisy. It's about aligning leadership with the emotional compass of the people. The Machiavellian prince knows a lie that brings peace is more useful than a truth that sparks chaos. So you've taken power. You've silenced enemies. Congratulations. But that's not the end. That's the trap. Because what you've built is a kingdom of glass, unless you ask yourself, what happens when you're not around? The Machiavellian prince doesn't just conquer. He constructs something that can't be burned down overnight. Many rulers fall because they mistake personal power for lasting power. Machiavelli warned that a prince who builds his rule solely on loyalty to his person will fall the moment loyalty fades. Real power, enduring power, is institutional. This means establishing laws, traditions, and systems that protect your authority even when you're not in the room. Think of the Roman Empire. Its strength wasn't just in generals. It was in the Senate, the military structure, the roads, the rituals. Caesar may have died, but Rome lasted centuries. In modern terms, build processes, build teams, build a culture where your values become the default. So even if you disappear, your legacy doesn't. This is why wise leaders train successors, establish codes of conduct, and surround themselves with competent, but not overly ambitious allies. They avoid relying on charisma alone. A Machiavellian prince thinks beyond his lifetime. He doesn't just ask, "How can I win today?" but, "How can I ensure my rule outlives me?" Institutions become your armor. They absorb pressure, resist collapse, and make your leadership seem natural, inevitable. So when you build power, don't build a throne, build a foundation. Because in the end, charisma dies, fear fades, but structure endures. So now you know how to think like a Machiavellian prince. Not to become a tyrant, but to navigate the brutal realities of leadership with clarity and intent. Machiavelli didn't ask you to abandon morality. He asked you to understand its limits, to see that virtue without strength is vulnerability, and that survival, when guided by purpose, can be noble. You've learned how to seize power, how to hold it, how to protect it, and how to wield it. But in the end, every prince must ask, what will my legacy be? Will I be feared, loved, respected, forgotten? Machiavelli leaves that choice to you, because the final rule of power is this: use it for something greater than yourself, or watch it consume you. Now you've seen behind the curtain, you know the game. And in a world that rewards the calculated and devours the naive, the choice is yours. Will you rule or be ruled? If you're still here, you're not like most. You think deeper. You ask harder questions. You want to lead, not follow. So don't disappear into the algorithm. Subscribe and join a growing circle of thinkers, strategists, and future rulers who refuse to be pawns. This is just the beginning, because power favors the prepared, and we're just getting started.